Thomas Edison, on his 9,999th attempt at making whatever he was making, he might have looked like an idiot, but then when you see the 10,000, you're like, oh, he actually wasn't an idiot. So the difference between an idiot and a genius is one attempt. It's one moment, it's one day, it's one decision to persist instead of giving up. The more you look like an idiot, the closer you become to being a genius. When I was a teenager, I really wanted to get a job, but I found it quite difficult because I didn't have any skills. And even though the jobs I was going for were unskilled, there were people that were more skilled at unskilled jobs than I was. So I was mainly aiming for like supermarkets, bars, restaurants, that type of thing. For a long time, I just handed in CVs or resumes and didn't get any response. So after a lot of failed summers of trying to get jobs, one time I got an opportunity. I got my foot in the door and had an interview with somebody at a local bar. Before that, I had never had any interviews even. I would just get rejected. And we had the interview and it seemed like everything was going well. He was about to hire me. And then he said to me the famous last words, "It's only a phone call away." That meant they didn't have any jobs, but he said he would consider me for any future jobs if it came up. Now, months went by and I never heard from this person. So I went in again. "Any more jobs?" And he said, "No, there's nothing." And then I was like, well, I need to change my plan of attack here, because getting a job the old-fashioned way of asking for a job and then getting paid money it's not working. And I thought, damn, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to get a job? And so then one day I decided I would just go in and I would tell him that I wanted to work for free. I just said, "I know you don't need any work. Can I just work?" And he said, "No, we don't need it." And I said, "Please, can I just do it?" So then he gave me the opportunity to just do grunt work, basically. And I did that, but I knew full well that I was going to get a paid job eventually, because he's not going to ask me to work for free and then not give me any work at all. So I went in and I looked like an idiot at the beginning. I was kind of unsure what I was doing, but just as I expected, he did get in touch and he offered me a paid shift on St. Patrick's Day. And that was it, my first paid job. And I was super excited for it. So I went in and all was well. I mean, as good as it can be when you're a novice. All of the other staff were buzzing around doing their stuff, and I was kind of like nervous that I was wearing the wrong shoes or that I wasn't doing anything right. And then, you know, I brought a few drinks here and there, all was well, but then I had a big table and they wanted a bunch of drinks. And so I got the bunch of drinks from the bar and I walked over there with my bunch of drinks and bumped into somebody and all of my drinks fell on the floor. And then I thought to myself, well, all of those drinks are worth more than my wage is going to be for this shift. So I was nervous that I was going to have to pay for it all. So I was like, okay. I went back to the bar and I said, I dropped the drinks, expecting to be shouted at or something to that effect. But they just said, "What were the drinks?" And I said, "What?" Said, "Yeah, what were the drinks? I'll make them again." And it was then I realized that there is a degree of tolerance for idiots, first off. But also, being an idiot is not the end of the world. And it shouldn't stop us from doing something. And of course, as time went on, I became a better waiter, and now I could consider myself a very good waiter. Well, I was a good waiter 5 years ago when I last waitered. When you make a mistake, it's an opportunity for you to learn, or maybe even just adapt. So much beauty comes out of failed attempts turning into things that you just hadn't even thought of in the first place. If we look at any of the grand successes of this world, I'm just going to take a very generic one that we all know, the light bulb, which apparently Thomas Edison didn't even invent the first light bulb, but whatever. He invented a bunch of things, and he said something to the effect of, "I haven't failed 10,000 times. I've simply found 10,000 ways that don't work." And I think that's very wise. It's a very wise perspective to take, because when you recognize that, you don't see your failures as a bad thing. You just see it as part of the process or the discovery of finding the thing that you want to find. In order to find the thing that does work, we have to find the things that don't work. It's a process of elimination. So don't be afraid to fail and to look like an idiot. Don't be afraid to do something incorrectly, because often that's what's required for you to do it correctly. And even the fact that this scene is cutting into this other scene of me at that other place is an example of how I was an idiot and how it wasn't the end of the world, because I didn't realize how windy it was up there. And so a lot of the audio sucks, but it looks nice. So I didn't want to completely remove it. So I found parts that did work. And then I thought, well, I can just reinvent the rest of it. So here we are. We're outside. There's a cat walking around. The vibe's probably different, but that's fine. It's a matter of perception. You can perceive the failure as a good thing. And then all of a sudden, I'm excited to fail, because we recognize that failure is an opportunity for growth. Failure is an opportunity to refine and iterate and reach new heights and new levels of success. Thomas Edison, on his 9,999 attempt at making whatever he was making, he might have looked like an idiot, but then when you see the 10,000, you're like, oh, he actually wasn't an idiot. So the difference between an idiot and a genius is one attempt. It's one moment, it's one day, it's one decision to persist instead of giving up. The more you look like an idiot, the closer you become to being a genius. If you have a huge ambition, people might not support you on that journey, and that's okay. Like when people decided they wanted to fly an airplane, the response to that is going to be, you're crazy. It's the same with whatever vision that you have. Like maybe it's not as grand as flying an airplane, but it might be some business idea that you have or some thing that you want to create, and people just don't get it because there's nothing to get yet. You have to create the thing for them to get. What we're trying to do a lot of the time is like, nobody's ever heard of it. No one's ever done it. Nobody understands it. You're probably going to be judged. People might not support you. Does that mean it's not worth pursuing? No. It just means you need to really back yourself. It can be lonely, but if you believe and you just go for it, you'd be surprised what comes on the other side of looking like an idiot. And that's the path that a lot of us are walking, is the unpaved road. You know, you got to bushwhack your way. You know, you've got objections here, you've got stuff blocking you there, you've got red tape there. Just take your machete and chop it all down, metaphorically speaking. And that means look like an idiot. Deal with the nonsense that comes your way and persist. Because when you do that, that's how you do achieve the greatness. Don't forget that your story is not yet written. I think that the real idiots are the people that are spending their whole lives trying not to look like an idiot. And the rest of us are just giving it a shot. And every now and again, we hit the target. Thanks for tuning in. I hope this chat was helpful for you. Check out this video next if you enjoyed this one. Newsletter sign up in the description. Have a beautiful day. Take care of yourself. Be an idiot.